Okay, so let's go back to, again, talking about GPT and artificial intelligence and all of that. Now, take it upon yourself that that should become second nature to you. Like we talk about internet. Nobody maybe in this room remembers when internet was a novel idea. What is internet? Or cyberspace, or all these now has become second nature. We don't think of them as strange expressions. Now, what is GPT? And you will take a while to, if you like, take on board these terms. Chat, we know what chat is. Anybody who knows what GPT is? And I'm not asking you as a quiz. I want that question to register and think, oh, I didn't look it up. I didn't go there. And if you haven't, go there, because as soon as you start chit-chatting with your friends, your relatives, etc., they say, what is GPT? And it would look silly if you have no idea. So it's good to get familiar with the terminology. And even when you put the terminology, generative pre-trained transformer, frankly, every one of those words, you need to look it up. None of it is like straightforward English. But when you start to delve deeper, you will get more and more familiarity. And I'd like to think you all become the experts in that area. Conceptually, obviously, we don't expect you to do that much more. But when you come across as somebody who's really familiar, you add a great service to your clients, even to your friends, colleagues, etc. So take it on board. You will hear a lot more about that. This is going to be, I think, the main talk and thrust in 2023. And I am sort of counting on so much happening in the next 12 months that I used to say in our lifetime, I'm going to say in the next 3 years, we will see some amazing development in that area. Some of them very positive, some of them we have to be very cautious how we approach, because it can be dangerous. So that is another way it is referred to, large language models, generative pre-trained transformers. So all of those, they're also called foundation models. You know, like electricity is a foundation model. And on top of electricity, you can build so many things. So a lot of this terminology begin to explain to you what you're studying, what you're facing. And that familiarity is a necessity. The one thing that think about, maybe just to bring it home to some of us, those who have children, and I trust the vast majority do, if you have a small child, when it starts, it only knows mama, then maybe dada, or I've read somewhere that it never gets to dada, but at least mama is there. But give the child a year, so much happens, 2 years, 3 years, and then by 5, they have become to generate sentences. They predict from what you tell them, what you're expecting, and they put words together to come up with a sentence. So if you like, it generates, it's pre-trained, the child is pre-trained by you. So when they say something silly or doesn't add up, etc., unless the parents think it's cute, like our children would forget which one, but instead of hospital, they say hospital. And we never corrected that because we thought it was cute. And then transformer. So personally, I'm still working around those. What does it transform? What does it come up with? And we will delve into those. So it works out. So remember, today it is no idea what it's doing. It's a statistical model that takes the input, the words, and think what will be the most probable word to respond to your question. So it goes to its vast data set and say what will be the most probable response that is requested. So we think, the way human thinks is, I comprehend what you're saying, and here's my answer. Actually, partly, yes, we maybe comprehend, but mostly we've understood the question, and now we can produce an answer. So it's all about probability, even for a human being. So creates all sorts of things, and we will come to some of its capabilities. You've already played with that a lot, even for those of you who've not done ChatGPT. You see it, the autocomplete is an example of that. That's why Google is almost ready with Lambda, but for their own reason, they've not launched it. But they know when you ask a question, what you're really after. Here, Meta is also introducing their own versions and allowing access to the huge data set. And that's all what it's about. It's why age is important in a human being. Your data set, if you like, that you remember, grows and grows and grows. By age of teenager, you already have quite a large set of information to select from. So the way it's been growing, at least for GPT, it's been almost exponential, the access, which information that it has to build its reservoir of knowledge. So in GPT-1, which was 2018, there was 117 million parameters that it absorbed, sorted through, statistically worked out the best response. Now, that's a very large number, but its human knowledge is in much bigger quantity than that. Then GPT-2 came to 1.5 billion. So imagine it's like 10 times or more, just gone from GPT-1 to GPT-2 in 1 year. GPT-3 is now 175 billion. Again, jumped 100 times. Okay, so you can see very quickly GPT-4 maybe trillions, maybe the entirety of our repository of the internet. Who knows how they will scale it? And obviously, scaling is very important, but you don't have to have every piece of information. ChatGPT has a unique aspect of it, is it has this supervised reinforcement learning. For those of you familiar with the machine learning, they will know there is supervised and non-supervised. But once they supervised, i.e. tell the machine, this is correct, this is incorrect, this answer makes sense, this doesn't make sense, you enhance the capability by huge magnitude, because then you are training it what human beings consider important. Statistically, may have guessed the right answer from a statistical standpoint, but humans are more than statistics. And if a human being says no, that is the right line of thinking, then you enhance the capability by so much more. So ChatGPT, they relied on supervised reinforcement learning to enhance that. And now we have something that is quite powerful. Just let me ask you, those who, I don't have everybody on my screen, and we have 210 in the room, which shows good interest here. How many of you tried it and were impressed, surprised, or disappointed with the answer? Rajiv, you raised your hand. Tell us what surprised you, impressed you, or disappointed you?
The surprise was, the president of UAE is still Khalifa.
Okay.
Yeah, I asked about alpha data. So it is somewhere founded in USA, some part of USA, it seems. So most of
if you remember what we're saying is statistical. Now, what you discovered is points to two things. Statistically, an alpha data that gets more hits in the USA will probably be rated higher. But does anybody know why Khalifa is still the president?
Yeah. See, I tried to correct it. I said the president of UAE is Sheikh Mohammed. but it says, no, I'm sorry that you are incorrect. So he tried to again go back.
Yeah,
So,
because they mentioned that their information only is still 2021.
yeah.
Correct,
So,
Naveen. That's the
so
problem, is because it's a trained AI, they trained it on the bulk of data they gathered up to the end of 2021. I've even tried to say, what's the latest trends coming out of computer and electronic show in Las Vegas? It's going on right now, and a lot of new products. It will come back and quite candidly say, my information only go to the end of 2021. So don't go back to it asking it for the latest. It's not a news service. It's not a search engine. It's a, call it an AI wisdom. So think of it as an old man that you can ask, what do you think of this? That can rely on a depth of knowledge to give you good answers, not the latest. Okay, so ChatGPT is smaller and smarter, and it is conceivable at some point in the future, it would be even doable without being in the cloud, which means then you can have it on a phone without being connected. And that would be amazing. You could be in the desert or in the forest and still have access to AI. Okay, so kind of questions, and I will ask you if anybody asks an interesting question to share it, please. But I just quickly, just to list them, and then I'll ask you. So if you want ideas for a book, a blog, or a story, and you have a writer block and you don't know what to write about, ask. You'd be surprised what it throws at you, and it becomes like a stimulant for the mind. If you need a polished CV or an email and you don't know how to write it politically correct or diplomatic, ask it. And but something to learn, that when you ask, it has two features that are really useful. The follow-on questions, because you keep track of your past question, and you can flavor it. If you say, I would like a playful email, or I want a serious email, or an email written in the language of Shakespeare, it can play with all of that and surprise you with how it writes it. So depending on who you're writing to, you can select the kind of mood, the kind of how light-hearted or etc. On the poetry side, I played with that, and it's maybe you should do it. I said this to try. Give me a poem about Alpha Data, the IT company. You'd be surprised. It came up with a long poem with all sorts of things about how good you are as a sort of engineers and talent. Then I said, give me a playful one, and it came up with something funny. So definitely it can and it knows really, because of its repository of information, what you're trying to say. How to increase my sale? You think, how will it know? It'll give you at least 10 bullet points as to how to increase them. How to win a race. I put that in our board meeting, and surprisingly, it comes up with a program of how to win a camel race through training, through food, through everything. So you'd think it won't respond to that. It gives you a response. This one didn't go down so well, at least in our board meeting. Does God exist? Our partners are very much religious Muslims. So I said, no, we don't want any answers. We know God exists. So it's up to you whether you want to keep an open mind or not. Not everybody wants to know that answers. Although the answer was very logical and wasn't trying to be an atheist or a theist or anything, but it does raise all the parameters of how to ask the question. Before I ponder some of the pros and cons and so on, did anybody ask any question that they liked the answer, disliked the answers? Rajiv gave us something. Anyone else? Okay, Natrajan.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, all. So I was trying to learn how to develop a software which is backed up by like a ChatGPT. So it was giving me a proper step-by-step model where I lost my touch on coding, but it helped me how to reach there, how to pick up the code in .NET and Python and various tools. We no need to be a specialist. As long as we can read and write, understand English, it gives a very nice answer with example.
Right.
And also relevant links to learn more. That's a cool feature as well.
Excellent. Zach, you raised your hand, think?
Yes. Yeah, I got I did some research, psychology research, and it found very good ways to give a good summary about the topics which I was looking into. And then if I had more questions, I could ask it to elaborate. Please tell me a little bit more about this. Tell me a little bit more about that. And then for the Secret Santa, I asked it to give me ideas for office colleague gifts. And it gave me some good gifts, and then I gave those same gifts. So, yeah.
No, very good. Okay. Anyone else? You have to speak up because I don't see you. So raised hand doesn't appear. So I saw Amr Singh. Go ahead, Amr.
Yeah, Faiz, I asked a question about if I want to manage a new branch, what do I need to do? So I got a lot of good answers from there also.
Oh, excellent. Okay. And remember, the answers aren't, the way I would treat them is they are like prompt, stimulant, rather than the ultimate answer. Because sometimes you're not thinking along these lines, but you might have maybe give you an angle you were not thinking about. And that's really where the value comes in. One last person, anyone? And start speaking because I can't select you.
First, I did not ask a question. I gave ChatGPT an exercise. I was sending a bit long email to a customer. I copied the text and asked it to improvise it. And I was surprised with the result. It understands the context. It regenerates the entire email in a much better fashion.
No, excellent, excellent. I've read that also elsewhere, especially, some of us are really good at sort of languaging a response. Some of us may be good, but would like to improve on that. And that's really, it comes to its own there. I've even asked it to prepare me a novel, Happy New Year kind of message. And it came up with some colorful stuff. So, yeah. Okay. Now, let's see what we have to watch out for, be aware of, pluses, minuses, so points to ponder, and really for you to also put your piece here. I just at random, really, these are came to mind. Take the metaverse. Metaverse is only useful, and we spoke about it in previous sessions, depending on content. You need avatars, you need virtual environment, etc. Who's going to generate that? That's huge. It's like doing multiple motion pictures. You need maybe thousands, maybe million of programmers to generate that virtual environment. Well, ChatGPT, if you just say, I want a room full of this, and it's got that and the other, can generate that for you. So the two can enable each other. So we might find ChatGPT used extensively to create a virtual environment. That was on the pro. On the cons, so I will alternate them or see whatever comes to mind. There is a question mark. Only now, a limited number of companies, the very large ones, have access to such technology. So it's in the hand of the few. And I'm always uneasy when it's just a few who controls something so crucial to humankind. So that is something that we have to be careful of. Even in the hands of somebody who pretends to be as good as Google. Remember, Google is presenting to you what they want to present to you. Don't think when you search, it is an impartial search. The top searches and top results and so on is coming with their biases, with how they want to direct the conversation. They can influence anything from election to your opinion to, and they do it, no matter what they say. The biases are embedded in it because the internet is populated with information mostly historically, at least until now, by, if you like, say, white people, and you're a person of color, automatically is biased against that. Not because it has a political view or anything, it's just what it is trained to. It's again like a child. If the child has never been exposed to another culture, it will be biased in his view of the other culture. So always bear that in mind. Actually, while I was exploring in Oman, we met with a German young man, I think he was 23, and who hitchhiked from Germany, and he ended up on the same beach in Oman. He was camping, I was camping with the family. And you can tell how he was amazed and mind blown he was by all the culture he met, because he was in a bubble. And then he goes through Europe, then he ends up coming through Turkey, Iran, then he goes to Dubai, then he comes to Oman. And he's been met with so much friendship, hospitality, etc., that he has never seen even in Germany. It's very hard to see someone like that being xenophobic. You know, it's very interesting when you're exposed to so much. So remember, the biases today are there, and be careful and keep it in mind when it gives you responses. It's very capable of spreading malicious content because it can produce it and people could misuse it. This is something that may not occur to many of you. When you train a child, you train them on text, but also on human interaction, the emotional side. You get angry, you get loving, you get emotional, etc. ChatGPT only has text to play with. There are videos, there are pictures, but interpreting videos and pictures and emotion is not something AI is good at to date. So remember, it's going to be always stunted by that is only text. It trained on past data only so far, and we just spoke about that only to the end of 2021. And the cost is still high. So cost per search is so much, and a cost per question answered on ChatGPT is 100 times more. So that needs to come down a lot for it to become a universal tool. This is what interests me the most. So far, I've noticed it is not dependent on the advertising model. We know advertising depends on us being engaged, even angered and enraged. That's how we stay on the platform. That's how we stay interested. Well, this one has no panels for advertising. It's not doing anything of the sort. So maybe with a small fee, we'll be happy to pay and not be bombarded with advertising or influenced by advertisers. So this is examples. I've done this one, try it. Let's say I'm 170 centimeter high. This is my weight, this is my age. Give me a program. And it came up with how to lose 10 kilograms in 3 months. It gave me a meal plan, a recipe of how to cook it, the grocery list. It's quite extensive with one simple question. As Natrajan said, I asked it, I want a program that draws a bouncing ball. Now, I can program in Python, but fairly rudimentary. But when something just in seconds produces a bug-free program, it is quite impressive. And we don't have time. I would demonstrate it to you. You can run this program and it will produce impressive results. So try it out. And I don't know what will be, how it will impact programmers in the future. Today, I feel the impact will be positive because it will take the kind of the donkey work out of the programming, the grunt work, and leave the programmer to do the creative side. But who knows how far it will go. In business, just I'm going to go really fast. You can take this slide and add to it yourself, but we are short on time. Marketing content, this will interest the marketing department. We're always looking for content to put on the internet, to put on newsletter, etc. Brainstorming ideas, if you're blocked on how we can do something, go for that, ask. Polish proposals, if you want to enhance how you submit to your clients. Automating parts of the sales process so you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. User instruction, aftercare services. Each one of those I could spend a presentation on, but I know you can pursue it yourself. Enhancing onboarding for those in HR. POPs ideas, Naveen, this would be useful. What other POPs ideas we can do? People operations. And I think we finish with the steps. Maybe we come up with something else. Customer engagement. I want to have more advocate, more loyalty from my customers. How do I engage them? So the list can be endless. And every time you have maybe a spare moment and you want to explore something, just keep a tab for ChatGPT and go and throw a question at it. What else can it do? What do you think? As much as you can throw at it, as much as our imagination can create. Zach, you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, is there a way we can get some RPA program which will allow us to ping ChatGPT, take the answers, and then throw it back in an email or something like that?
Yeah, I think what I'd like to think, at least step one, is a subscription to the mobile app, because I think the mobile app is still chargeable, while on the desktop it's free. On the mobile, I think it's chargeable. Sometimes that if the app is running in the background on your mobile, you're much more likely to go to it. We're not doing much on the desktops, many of us. So that would be it. But yeah, the RPA, maybe you and Gitika can have a chat about that. Okay, so keep your mind open. It is only as limited as your imagination. And I think if you adopt it and make it the next topic you talk to your clients about, that's what they love to see you. They want to see you because you bring them ideas. I have bombarded, maybe excited, maybe bored a lot of my friends because we go out to dinner or we do something. That's been on the forefront of my mind because I'm doing this webinar. But I have not met anybody that I chatted with them about it that didn't get excited, because it's open to all, it's free to all, and there is no limit what you can do with it. I hope you do that and enjoy yourself with this ChatGPT. Thank you very much. Please rate before you go, and I look forward to see you soon. Thank you.